are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for all right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final.
Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I am your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, and as always, it's great to have you guys here on this Football Friday. We have a lot to talk about on today's show. We got a actually doubleheader today. We got the Football Podcast till 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and then a half hour later, I will be streaming the Baseball Podcast. We'll recap the World Series and talk about some other stuff as well. With that. So, I'm really excited about that. And before we get into what we're going to talk about on the Football Podcast, I just want to remind you guys, we got a little graphic debut here. So to tip or donate and get your comments recognized and become part of the show, make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/GSMCsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show and it gets your comments recognized. It puts you up on the stream. It's a great way to interact with myself, the host. So again, the following link is streamelements.com/GSMCsportsnetwork./tip, and it's also on the ticker on the bottom of the screen there of the show segment. So let's get right into what we are going to discuss today. So we'll start off the show. We'll recap last night's game between the Steelers and the Titans. The Steelers getting the win 20-16, so that gets Week 9 started off. Then we will preview all of the games for this weekend. In the second part of the show, we'll actually touch upon the Bills and the Bengals, because I know I've touched on the Dolphins and the Chiefs game and the Eagles and the Cowboys games during the week. I haven't really talked about this game, the Bills and the Bengals, so we'll talk about that in the second part of the show, and I'll give you my pick for that. And then we'll preview the rest of the games. We'll do the early window games first. That'll be in the third segment, and then in the fourth segment, we'll do the late window games. So let's get right into talking about last night's game between the Steelers and the Titans. So I picked the under in this game, actually, and I was definitely sweating it out a little bit last night because towards the end, the Titans were driving and they had a chance to win the game. And the under ended up hitting. I took it at 37, so it literally just hit. And I had the Steelers' money line as well. And that didn't look good at points during the game. But yeah, I mean the Steelers get the win. They improved to 5-3. The Titans, they dropped to 4-3 on the season. But you know what? I saw a lot of good things out of Will Levis. Made some good throws last night. So if you're a Titans fan, you definitely got to be encouraged by what you've seen so far from him. And he continues to target DeAndre Hopkins because Hopkins has had a lot of quiet. I mean, last night he didn't have a monster game, but he's definitely targeting DeAndre Hopkins a lot. He had 11 targets yesterday. So, that just goes to show you that he's throwing the ball to him. Actually, Kyle Phillips ended up being their leading receiver. He had 68 yards receiving. Derrick Henry had a couple of big plays in this game. He actually almost took one to the house, but the Steelers were able to tackle him right before he was able to break free. He had 17 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown. The Titans, they were winning, going into the second half. The Steelers, they actually opened up the game, 10 plays, 78 yards, almost 5 minutes. went right down the field, scored a touchdown. Najee Harris from 10 yards out. So you're like, okay, here we go. That's Matt Canada on the sidelines. That's a good start for the Steelers. And then on the Titans' first possession, they went down the field, 14 plays, 72 yards, kicked a field goal. That was 7 minutes, almost 7.5 minutes. The Steelers, they got penalized a lot during this drive. And that's kind of what, extended the drive, got the Titans in field goal range. They kicked the field goal to tie it up. Steelers and Titans both punted. Then to open up the second quarter, the Steelers punted. Then the Titans went 11 plays, 73 yards down the field, almost 6.5 minutes. And that was the Derrick Henry touchdown. And the Steelers, they had him, but he was able to break tackles and get into the end zone. He's very hard to take down. And then the Steelers on their possession, they went 10 plays, 65 yards. They got a field goal. And I was surprised. Like, there wasn't that much time left in the first half, but the Titans were able to go down the field. Will Levis made a couple of nice throws to Kyle Phillips for 24 yards and 21 yards. And Nick Folk was able to kick the field goal to put them ahead 13-10 at the half. Then the Titans punted. Steelers kicked a field goal to tie the game. They went 15 plays, 75 yards, 8 minutes. 8-minute drive to tie the game. Then the Titans on their next possession, they kicked a field goal. That was almost 5.5 minutes. So it was 16-13 going into the fourth quarter. Titans punted. And then the Steelers, 11 plays, 92 yards. Deontay Johnson catching his first touchdown in 2 years. The last time he caught a touchdown, Ben Roethlisberger was the quarterback. Which, I mean, it's crazy that's the case. And that was from 3 yards out. That put the Steelers ahead. Titans turned it over on downs. Steelers punted. And the Steelers, listen, the game was over when the Titans actually got the ball back when the Steelers punted. And there was another penalty. So that extended the drive. The Titans were driving, and I'm thinking, oh, no, here we go. And then Will Levis ended up throwing a pick to Quan Alexander, and the Steelers ended up holding on and winning 20-16. And Kenny Pickett, as you see on the screen here, he didn't have a great game, 19-30, 160 yards and a touchdown, but he was money in the fourth quarter when it counted. It's weird. He has CBS Sports posted this on their Instagram. So over the last 2 seasons, this is the most go-ahead passing touchdowns in the final 5 minutes. Last 2 seasons. Kenny Pickett has 4. And then Josh Allen has 3. I mean, for some reason in the fourth quarter, like, he goes off. And, it didn't look great at certain points during the game, but Steelers were able to hold on, get the win. Deontay Johnson catching his first touchdown in 2 years. I think the Steelers got stuff to clean up with the penalties, but a win is a win. Also, a scary situation late in the game. Will Levis threw a pass to Treylon Burks down the sideline, and he ended up getting badly injured on the play. He got taken off on a stretcher into an ambulance, and you never like to see that. I think it was a shoulder injury because he really slammed against the ground. He actually almost caught the pass too, but that was a scary situation. And you never like to see that when you have the the ambulance on the field. But he gave the thumbs up, so that's always a good sign. But yeah, hitting his head and his shoulder too. I mean, it was brutal to see that. You never want to see that, but like I said, he did give the thumbs up, so at least we have that. But that was a scary situation for the Titans, a young receiver, that second-year wide receiver. But yeah, so that was the other thing that happened in the game. Forgot to mention that, but yeah. So the Steelers pick up the win. They move to 5-3, and the Titans. I mean, again, you gotta like what you see out of Will Levis. Obviously, his offensive line wasn't doing him some favors last night. Steelers got to clean up the penalties because they extended drives for the Titans, and that could have been the reason they lost last night. They could have very easily lost, but that was not the case. So, yeah, I mean, the Steelers, look, the offense still needs some work, and you also had George Pickens, who you thought caught a touchdown, but his second foot going down touched the out of bounds. Was out of bounds when he caught it, so that costed the Steelers some points there. But I mean, the game kind of went as I expected. It was a low-scoring game, but again, I was impressed with some of the throws that Will Levis made, and I think going forward, I mean, yeah, he threw the pick at the end, but they didn't have a lot of time, so obviously he was trying to get something. But there were a lot of good throws that he made. The ones to Phillips along the sidelines. He's got a big arm. And, I think you got to roll with him going forward because you know what you got out of Tannehill, and this guy's going to be your future. So, give him a shot and, see what you got out of him for the second half of the year. And so far, you got to like what you've seen. I mean, he's already won a game. Obviously, last night you're going up against a good defense in Pittsburgh, but you gotta like what you've seen. You gotta like what you've seen out of him so far. Kenny Pickett, there's definitely some concern there because he until the fourth quarter he really didn't look that good. So but hey, the Steelers keep winning games, and as long as they do that, they're gonna be in the thick of it. Towards the end of the season. But, yeah, so that got us started off with Week 9. Actually, I'll look at the other stats besides Kenny Pickett and Will Levis. I did go over the Titans side. So let's see. For the Steelers, I mean, George Pickens really didn't do anything last night. I mean, he thought he caught the touchdown, but he ended up being out of bounds. Jaylen Warren had a very good game. His best game as a pro. 11 carries, 88 yards. Najee Harris had 69 yards rushing and a touchdown. So, and Jaylen Warren, I feel like he's definitely a more explosive runner than Najee Harris is. I mean, because Najee Harris, you kind of see him running east to west, and he's not running north and south sometimes. Jaylen Warren is a bowling ball. And, I mean, they got a nice player with him. And he had that big run towards the end of the game that set up the go-ahead touchdown to Deontay Johnson. I mean, the Steelers, hopefully the running game can continue to improve there. Obviously, you expect more out of Najee Harris. He had a 25-yard run last night. And then Deontay Johnson was their leading receiver. He had 90 yards receiving and a touchdown. Again, I just find it crazy how, that was his first touchdown in 2 years. But yeah, it's over now. It's over now. But listen, for the Steelers, you take the win, but obviously the offense still doesn't look great. Next week they actually play the Packers, so that's a winnable game. But then they're at Cleveland and then at Cincinnati the following 2 weeks. So they got some big divisional games coming up, and if they really want to be taken seriously in this division, they're going to have to win those games. Obviously, they're 2-0 already this year, facing their NFC North opponents. AFC North opponents. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. They're going to be on the road for those 2 games. They're at home against the Packers next week before that. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. And then as for the Titans, they will be at Tampa Bay next week. And then in a couple weeks, they'll be at Jacksonville. So, yeah, but I definitely was impressed with what I saw from Will Levis last night. And, it helps when you got Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins on your team. So, the Titans just got to keep building off of that. Obviously, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but, they could, they definitely can hang around 500 the rest of the way, I think. So, we'll see what happens. But with that, we are going to take our first break of the show, and then when we come back, we will discuss the Bills-Bengals game. We'll preview that, and then it'll be the second part of the show when we come back from our first break. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are now going to preview the Bills-Bengals game for Sunday. It's a big Sunday night game. But actually, before I get into that, so I did look up the Treylon Burks situation. So Mike Vrabel did say that the wideout was not transported to the hospital and later walked out of the locker room under his own power. So that's great news to hear that was the case. Because, I mean, obviously, again, when, like, you know, you get put out on a stretcher and, you know, and all that, it's just never a good sign. Yeah, so that's great news. I just wanted to say that before we get into this game. So we got the Bills and the Bengals in Cincinnati, and actually this is going to be the second time these two teams were able to play each other. Obviously, this is going to be the first time they're playing each other in Cincinnati since what happened last year with Damar Hamlin. So there's going to be a lot of stuff being talked about with that going into this game, because obviously these teams did not complete the game that they had against each other on Monday night last year because of all that. So definitely going to be an emotional night with this game. But they did meet in the playoffs last year in Buffalo, and the Bengals won that game. They dominated that game. And with these two teams going at it this year, the Bills, they got some issues right now on the offensive side of the ball. They're looking for consistency. That's something that's definitely missing. From this team right now. Because listen, they should have dominated against the Bucs last week. They were by far the better team, but for some reason, it just the game ended up being closer than it should have been. And the Bengals, I mean, this team is getting hot at the right time. Joe Burrow looks like he's getting healthy, and that's scary for the rest of the NFL because this team is very dangerous if Burrow's healthy, and you're obviously getting the receivers going. So right now, I like the Bengals in this game. The over-under right now is 49.5. Bengals are favored by 2. I would take the Bengals and lay the points. I really don't trust the Bills. And listen, before what happened with Damar Hamlin, the Bengals looked like they were going to dominate that game too. And then obviously they met in the playoffs in Buffalo, and the Bengals beat them there. So let's actually look at the rankings for the offenses and the defenses for both of these teams. So the Bills are 6th in passing yards per game. Bengals are 22nd, but you figure that's going to continue to go up because, Burrow's been hurt, obviously. Rushing yards, Bills are 14th, Bengals are 29th, although Joe Mixon did have a good game last week against the 49ers. And then in terms of points, the Bills are 4th and the Bengals are 23rd. So if you were like just a casual fan if you were just like a casual fan or just a casual person and you looked at those numbers on offense, you're like, the Bills should win this game easily, right? But again, that just goes to show you how, slow of a start the Bengals got off to. So yeah, those are the league rankings right now. Then on the defensive side of the ball, the Bills' defense is 11th against the pass. They're giving up an average of 225.1 yards per game, passing yards per game. And the Bengals are giving up an average of 251.3 passing yards per game. So that's 21st. Rushing yards, they're about the same. Bills are 22nd. Bengals are 28th. And then points allowed. Bills are 3rd. Bengals are 17th. So, but, the Bills, they have their issues on defense. Obviously, they traded for Rasul Douglas. And again, it goes back to injuries. I mean, you have Matt Milano, who's out for the year, or Tre'Davious White. So you get Rasul Douglas, which is really important. But I think with the Bengals being at home, and I just, Josh Allen still turning the ball over, because that's the case. I mean, his turnovers have led to points. I mean, against the Bucs, a turnover led to points. Well, the interception led to the tipped pass that went up in the air and got picked off. That led to points. A couple weeks ago, I think their first play from scrimmage against the Patriots, that pick led to, the Patriots scoring. So that's going to be a problem in this game. So I think that, and just the Bills being inconsistent on offense, I think the Bengals, they should win this game. But we'll see. I mean, I think it should be, it's a great game to look forward to. Obviously, the Bills are going to want to get revenge for the playoff loss last year in their own building. So, I'm not going to be surprised with whatever outcome we get from this game. I mean, but the Bills right now, they're just not playing up to their level. I mean, offensively. Again, Josh Allen turning the ball over. If you could limit the turnovers, and you play a clean game, then you can win this game. But if you turn the ball over, the Bengals are going to take advantage of that. I mean, look what they did with Brock Purdy last week. They will take advantage of that. You cannot mistake. I mean, yeah, I guess making mistakes against the Bucs is one thing because their offense hasn't been great this year. But against the Bengals, with how they've been playing lately, I mean, you're going to find yourself in a huge deficit early if you're turning the ball over. And the Bills, they don't run the football great. I mean, a lot of people are questioning why, why James Cook hasn't gotten the ball as much, and I don't understand that either. I don't get it either. Because I mean he's had a decent year for them, but for some reason they just don't really give him the ball as much. I mean, they also did sign Leonard Fournette, which I think will definitely help in the running game, because you also have Latavius Murray there. With Damian Harris being on IR after what happened with him a few weeks ago against the Giants. Fournette, I'm surprised it took this long for somebody to sign him. But, hey, if he's, the Leonard Fournette that, we saw in the playoffs for the Buccaneers, I mean, that adds another dimension to the Bills' offense to go along with James Cook. So we'll see how he, I think he is going to, I mean, I know he was on the practice squad. I don't know if they. Let's take a look. Quick look. But I don't know if he's gonna play in this game at the moment. But I mean, even if he does, he's probably gonna be on a limited, snap count just because, like he's just getting signed. So, we'll have to see. He passed his physical on Monday. Yeah, so, I mean, right now I just saw that he's on the practice squad. But he will definitely get added to the active roster, you would think. But, yeah, it's just really strange that it took this long for somebody to sign him. But, it is what it is. But I'm excited for this game. It definitely has huge implications here. And the Bengals, they got, right now they're tied for second place in the the Steelers won last night, but right now they're trying to get themselves back in the division race. I mean, listen, I expect this, if Burrow stays healthy, I mean, this team is going to make the playoffs. But they definitely got their sights set higher. They're trying to catch up to the Ravens for the division, which, listen, I still have the Bengals to win the division. And listen, if they keep playing how they're playing right now, I mean, they are going to be a really tough team to beat. And you look at how the Chiefs played last week and, the Ravens being inconsistent, the Bills and their inconsistencies, and the Dolphins struggling to beat good teams. Listen, the Bengals are a team that's been to the last 2 AFC Championship games, and in one of them they advanced to the Super Bowl. They could beat anybody. And they beat the 49ers, who everybody was talking about them being the best team in the NFL, including myself. And they went into San Francisco, and they dominated. So that's a team that nobody's going to want to face. Because, again, if Burrow is healthy, it's going to be tough to beat them. It really is. And, you get the running game going with Mixon. I mean, that offense is going to be tough to stop. And their defense is good. A lot of those guys obviously played, they still have their core on defense pretty much from the last 2, playoff runs. So, I mean, this team's going to be tough to beat. It's going to be really tough to beat. And the Bills, I mean, listen, they got to get themselves back on track here. Well, I mean, listen, they won last week, but they got to find. What I meant was they got to find more consistency on offense. That's really what I meant to say. Get back on the right track, because Josh Allen, you don't turn the ball over. I mean, Bills win by multiple scores last week. I mean, they should have won by multiple scores anyway, but Mike Evans gets that touchdown at the end. And then somebody could have caught that Hail Mary. It just, nobody did anything with it. It just fell to the ground when Baker threw that pass at the end of the game. That's really the key. Josh Allen, just don't turn the ball over. And you got the weapons. I mean, Gabe Davis had a good game last week. You got Diggs, of course, and you know what he can do. Dalton Kincaid caught his first touchdown pass last week. You got the offense. Look, these two teams, I mean, this game could go back and forth, too. Definitely can. But right now, I lean towards the Bengals just because of how they're playing. And the Bills have just been kind of shaky as of late. So, that's my rationale. And I did win last night's game. So, we're off to a good start. Hopefully, this second half, my predictions are a lot better. So we'll see how it goes. But last night definitely. Well, last week I got 12. And then we won last night's game. So things are looking up for me with my spread pools. So we'll see what Sunday and Monday bring, and we'll see if I can finally win a week in my spread pool. Is this the week? I could tell you probably not, but. You never know. You never know. So, with that, we are going to take our second break of the show. But before I do that, again, I just want to remind you guys here. Give me 1 second. I just want to remind you guys again to become part of the show. To donate and tip to the show and get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show. It makes it more interactive between myself, the host, and you, the viewer. And again, the link is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. And it is also on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment. So when we get back from our second break of the show, we are going to preview the rest of the, all the early window games for Sunday. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are going to now preview all of the early window games for Sunday. So we'll start off with the I almost said the game in London, the game in Germany, the Dolphins and the Chiefs. So obviously I talked about this, on the previous show. Tyreek Hill playing against his former team for the first time since he was traded from the Chiefs to the Dolphins. And this should be an exciting game. You got two elite offenses going at it. Chiefs coming off of a tough loss against the Broncos, and the Dolphins winning by a couple of scores against the New England Patriots. They continue their dominance over the Patriots. Tua has never lost against Bill Belichick, which is interesting because Belichick used to dominate young quarterbacks. Well, I mean, he still kind of does, but Tua's been the one that's been able to crack the code. So obviously, the Dolphins, there's some criticism. They haven't, they've struggled against good teams on the road. Now, this is a neutral site, so, anything can happen. However, I'm going to take the Chiefs in this game. Right now, they're favored by 2. I think they get back on the right track here. They're going to be focused. It's not going to be bad weather. I think they win this game. But I expect a lot of scoring here. I think Tyreek Hill gets a touchdown at least in this game. I'm also saying next I have him in a few fantasy leagues. But I'm just hoping for an exciting game. But this is a statement game for the Dolphins. If they can win this game, that at least gets one thing off of their back, that they can't beat a good team. But I think this game will be a little bit of a back and forth. So then we go on to the Vikings and the Falcons. Interesting game here because you have Taylor Heineke going for the Falcons. He'll be starting for them. And then for the Vikings, they got their rookie quarterback starting. Just double check. That's Jaron Hall. And he came in for Kirk Cousins after he got hurt. Yeah, I got to go with the Falcons here. Right now, the Falcons are favored by 4. I don't think Joshua Dobbs is playing in this game. If Dobbs does play, I would take the Vikings with the points, but I think I got to take the Falcons at home. Heineke, I think, will have a good game. Vikings, I guess they'll have to wait another week for Josh Dobbs to start. But yeah, I mean, the NFC South. I mean, again, I have no idea who's going to win that division, but I think Heineke could at least gives them a better chance to win than Desmond Ridder at this point in time. So I'll take the Falcons here, favored by 4. I'd lay the points. Well, I'm laying the points. Don't listen to me if you don't want to. So then we move on to the Seahawks and the Ravens, which is another good game. The line opened up at 5. Now it's gone up to 6. Listen, the Seahawks, they have a good running attack with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. The defense has been playing well, although their red zone offense has been struggling. I'm going to take the Ravens here, and I'm going to lay the points. I feel like a lot of people are going to take are going to take the points in this game. But I did that when they played the Ravens a couple weeks ago, and the Ravens destroyed them. So I'm going to do the same thing here, and it's a tough game on the road for the Seahawks. I think the Ravens win by at least a touchdown. But we'll see, because the Ravens, they got their inconsistencies as well on offense. So I'm going to say they win and they cover. So then we got the Browns and the Cardinals. I don't really know what to do with this game because I don't know if Kyler Murray is going to play, or if they're going to wait another week, or if they're going to start their rookie quarterback, the Cardinals. It's I think if they do, I mean, going up against Clayton Tune, I guess they're going to start him and wait another week to play Kyler, and that kind of changes things for me because I don't know if with the rookie quarterback, against the Browns defense. I don't know if the Cardinals are really going to, and the Cardinals being 1-7, I don't know if the Cardinals are really going to, score a ton of points here. But, and then for the Browns, I mean, Deshaun Watson, is it going to be him? Is it going to be P.J. Walker? That I'm not 100% sure either. So let's see. Let's look at Deshaun Watson really quick. I just go to sleeper, and then that's where I get my So right now he's still questionable. He was limited on Thursday, so I mean we'll find out. I guess this will go up until game time. I mean the Browns I think will win regardless, but 8's a big number. Right now, I think I had the Cardinals. I'm going to say, I mean, if Tune ends up being the starter, I'm going to say the Browns win and cover. But I don't feel great about it. Because if Deshaun Watson plays, Deshaun Watson just has not played well this year. He's turned the ball over. So, you know what? I'll take the Browns. I'm going to lay the points. But if Kyler does play, I think I would take the points. But we'll see. Then we move on to the Rams and the Packers. Matthew Stafford, another quarterback. I don't know if he's playing or not. If it's not him, it's going to be Brett Rippon. I think regardless, I mean, they're getting 3 points. I would take the Rams. I think right now they're the better coached team. They're the better team. The Packers look like one of the worst teams in football. I mean, their offense, it takes forever to get them started. And listen, I shouldn't have picked them last week because that honestly was the difference in me winning a week or not in the spread pool also, other than the Ravens, letting the Cardinals backdoor cover. I like, you know what? The Packers are due for a win at home against a divisional opponent. This is where they get right. I was trying to be confident in them. And I had too much confidence in them because it was more of the same. And I think it's going to be more of the same on Sunday. You're going up against Aaron Donald and that defensive front. Although the Rams' defense is not as great as it used to be. They don't have Jalen Ramsey anymore. But I think they're the better team here. And I think regardless if Rippon starts or not, if Stafford ends up playing, whoever it is, I think they win this game. And the Packers then would fall to 2-6. So that's my thoughts on that game. So then we move on to the Bucks and the Texans. This one's a tough game to pick because the Texans have played well this year. Last week was not good, losing to the Panthers, giving the Panthers their first win of the season. So, yeah, and the Bucks, you look at them, I mean, ever since that 3-1 start, I mean, the wheels are falling off right now. They're 3-4 now. But I think the Bucks are the better team here just because of their defense. And I feel like this could be a get-right game for them. But, again, I'm not surprised with either outcome. Just because the Bucks with their struggles on offense. But I feel like they can get right in this game. Right now, the Texans are favored by 2.5. I'm going to take the Bucks with the points because of their defense. And I just think they're due for a win. So I'll take Tampa Bay. Then we move on to the Commanders and the Patriots. Patriots are favored by 3. Listen, Sam Howell, he had a great game against the Eagles last week. And how I talked about before with Bill Belichick going up against, young quarterbacks, what he does. And I feel like, especially with what the Commanders did at the trade deadline, trading Montez Sweat, trading Chase Young, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem. The Patriots should be able to move the ball against this defense. And listen, the Patriots defense is still, a solid unit. So you know what? I'm taking the Patriots and I'm laying the points. I think they force Sam Howell into some turnovers. I think this could be a bad game for Sam Howell, but we'll see. We'll see. And then the final early window game. Sorry, that's my dog right outside the door here. We got the Bears and the Saints. Bears coming in at 2-6. Saints 4-4. Right now the Saints are favored by 8.5. It was at 7.5, I think, when the line opened up. Let me just check really quick. Oh, so it was 6.5. So it's gone up. Yeah, I'm taking the Saints. I don't like it. Tyson Bagent's making another start. I'm not fully confident in it, but I don't think the Bears are going to be able to score a lot of points here. I mean, listen, they did well against the Raiders, but that just shows you how bad the Raiders are. And look at what the Raiders have done now over the last couple of days. Letting go of their coach, their general manager, their coordinators. I mean, they're a complete overhaul, pretty much. That just shows you how bad the Raiders are. The Bears, the Saints, they looked a lot better last week against the Colts. However you want to take that. I think anything is encouraging just because, I mean, they've been struggling to find their rhythm on offense, and their defense hasn't been great this year. Listen, Derek Carr and Rashid Shaheed, they got a nice connection. Kamara's been good since he's come back from his suspension. I mean, I think the Saints win and cover because I just don't think the Bears are going to be able to score a lot of points here. But we'll see. I could be completely wrong. I don't feel super confident with this game, but I can't pick the Bears. I just can't. So, that's my thoughts on all the early window games. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you guys have in each of these games? But yeah, I mean, listen, you got the Germany game, which is, I mean, that's a great way to start off your day. Watching these two offenses going at it. And listen, I said I wish this game was being played either in Arrowhead or in Miami, but listen, you want to give the fans overseas a good game, and they're getting a really good game. Both teams are 6-2, tied for the number 1 seed in the AFC with a couple other teams as well. I mean, the Ravens are 6-2, the Jags, well, they're on a bye this week, but they're also 6-2. So like, it's definitely something special that they're gonna get to see these two teams play each other on Sunday. It's a very important game, and you got Tyreek Hill facing his former team, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. And then you got some interesting matchups when it comes to the quarterback position, because some games you're like, who's playing? You got guys that are questionable. You're gonna start a rookie. You're gonna start a guy coming off of injury. And then you also got the Ravens and the Seahawks game, which can definitely be a good game, but we'll see. I mean, the line definitely went up in that game because that was at 5. That's now at 6. So I'm taking the Ravens. I'm not making the same mistake I did when I took the Lions with the points, because I'm like, oh yeah, Lions are getting the points. You should do that. And listen, that was the same thing with like the Rams and the Cowboys last week. I'm like, the Rams are getting 6.5 points. Like, I feel like I should take that. That's a lot of points. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it as the Cowboys. Cowboys are good at home. So I'm going to keep it. And thankfully I did, because that game was over after the first quarter. I'm just hoping this is like my rebound, and I have like this monster second half. I get myself, towards the top of the standings in my spread pools, and finally win a week. That's all I'm asking. It's just 1 week, just so I could say I did it. That's literally I'm asking. Is it that hard? I mean, a lot of people probably don't understand. If you're watching this, you probably don't understand why does it matter. I've been doing spread pools for pretty much my whole life. Well, 3/4 of my life. And I have not won one single week. Not one. I did win, finishing in the top. I ended up finishing in the top 4 in both of mine last year, so I did get something out of that, but got to win a week. But I was consistent last year. It's just every time I would be one of the last people I'd be one of the top people, but one person would be doing better than me. Would have win one more game. So, yeah, that's the struggle. So hopefully we get that this year. We'll see. All right, so with that, we are going to take our final break of the show, and then when we come back, we will then preview the late window games. I'll give you my thoughts on that. I know we talked about the Bills Bengals already, but we will talk about the rest of those games when we come back from this break. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we are going to now preview the late window games, the rest of them. For Sunday, we talked about the Sunday night game between the Bills and the Bengals, so we'll go through the 3 other games in the late afternoon slate. So we'll start off with the Colts and the Panthers. So Frank Reich will be coaching against his former team, the Indianapolis Colts. Colts coming in at 3-5. Panthers coming in at 1-6, winning their first game last week against the Texans on a game-winning field goal. So, right now the Panthers are 2.5-point underdogs. I like the Colts in this game. I just think the Panthers, they're still struggling to get it going on offense. I mean, Gardner Minshew hasn't been bad since he's taken over at quarterback. You look at the offensive rankings. Colts are 13th in passing yards per game. Panthers are 19th. Colts are 9th in rushing. Panthers are 25th. So Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss. Zach Moss, before Jonathan Taylor came back, was playing great. Now you get Jonathan Taylor back, and he's starting to get it going. So that's going to be a problem for the Panthers. And the Colts actually are 6th in scoring. They're averaging 25.6 points per game, and the Panthers are 25th. They're averaging 18.1. So then you look on the defensive side of the ball, and the Panthers are 29th against the run. So that's not good. Colts are 23rd. Passing yards, the Panthers are actually 6th against the pass. They're giving up an average of 203.4 yards per game. Colts are 25th. And then points allowed, the defenses are both towards the bottom. Colts are giving up an average of 28.6 points per game, which is dead last in the NFL. And the Panthers, they're 30th. They're giving up an average of 28.4. So, again, I like the Colts in this game. Panthers, they're not a very high-scoring offense. The Panthers do have a good defense, so they could force turnovers, and they capitalize on those. So the game could go that way. Right now it says it's going to be 72 degrees at the game on Sunday. So clear weather, but I like the Colts in this game. I like the Colts. I think they're going to, Panthers are not good against the run. Colts are a good running team. That's what they're going to use to their advantage. And I think they win this game, and they cover the 2.5. So give me the Colts for that game on Sunday. Then we go to the Giants and the Raiders. So the line opened up with the Giants being 2.5-point underdogs. Now it's down to 1.5. The Raiders obviously had an overhaul. They got rid of their head coach, Josh McDaniels, general manager, Dave Ziegler. So now you got Antonio Pierce, who's the interim head coach. Aiden O'Connell is now going to start. Jimmy Garoppolo got benched. So, the Raiders are going to look like a different team on Sunday against the Giants. And we'll see what happens. The Giants, you look at the rankings. So the Giants are dead last in passing yards per game. Rushing yards, they're 15th. Raiders are 32nd. 32nd? That's crazy. I mean, you got Josh Jacobs, who was awesome last year, and you're dead last in rushing? Well, that's definitely going to change, though, moving forward. And then points per game. Wow. The Giants are 32nd. They are averaging 11.9 points per game. The Raiders are averaging, they're 30th. They're averaging 15.8. I mean, if you want to take the under in this game, by all means do that. Because this game is going to be, it's going to be interesting. And then the defense, both teams actually are respectable against the pass. Raiders are 8th against the pass, giving up an average of 208.6 passing yards per game. And the Giants are 12th, giving up an average of 227.5 passing yards per game. Against the run, Raiders are 30th, Giants are 24th. So they're gonna lean on Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones, who I think is playing in this game. They're gonna be running the football a lot. And then points allowed, they're both 22nd. They're both giving up the same points, on average, 23.4. So, I'm picking the Giants. I'm picking the Giants. Now, what's scary is you got a new head coach. So, after you fire a coach, sometimes like teams get fired up from that and they come out and they play a great game. So I could definitely see that, especially because the Raiders, like the playmakers they have on offense, Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, so Jacoby Myers as well. Maybe they finally get Hunter Renfrow involved. Maybe. But I just think the way the Giants defense has been playing as of late, you got Daniel Jones coming back. I think they win this game. You lean on Saquon Barkley. I mean, Saquon Barkley had, I think, 36 carries last week. I mean, that's crazy. But I would go with I'm going to go with the Giants. I think they win this game. But it's going to be an ugly game. But I can't get over 11. I mean, you're averaging 11 points per game. I mean, that's terrible. They got to figure it out. All right, so now we get to one of the best games of the weekend. And, we already talked about, the other two, or the other three if you want to throw in Ravens Seahawks. So we did talk about it, how it's a statement game. We got the Cowboys and the Eagles in Philadelphia. Eagles are 3-point favorites. Over-under is 47. It's going to be clear skies in Philly. Man. Listen, I kind of did indicate on who I was going to pick. I am going to go with, well, actually, before we go into that, let's just go through the stats first, even though you guys know who I'm going to pick anyways. So on offense, the Eagles are 8th in passing yards per game. Cowboys are 16th. Eagles are 7th in rushing. Cowboys are 11th. And then points per game, the Cowboys are actually, well, they're second. They're averaging 28.1 points per game. Eagles are averaging 28 on the dot. So, they're averaging pretty much the same points. Then on the defensive side of the ball, Cowboys are second against the pass, giving up an average of 194.3 passing yards per game. The Eagles are 26th, giving up 267.1. That is the key to this game right here. Because if Dak Prescott doesn't turn the ball over and you get the ball to CeeDee Lamb and you play a clean game, Cowboys have a shot in this game. That is where they're going to win, by throwing the football, because the Eagles are first against the run, giving up an average of 65.5 yards per game. So you're going to have to win the game by throwing the ball. So Dak Prescott, this game is on you. Points allowed, Cowboys defense is 4th, Eagles defense is 19th. However, having said that, I am taking the Eagles in this game. Almost said the Cowboys. I just don't trust the Cowboys on the road. I think Dak Prescott will turn the ball over. They haven't been great running the football this year, and you got, the Eagles are good against the run. So, and the Eagles being at home, that definitely helps. Now, can I see the Cowboys winning this game? Absolutely, I can. I will not be surprised if it happens. I will be upset if it happens, but I will not be surprised. But I just think right now the Eagles are the better team. They're at home, and I just like them to win this game. But it should be a good game. We got a good slate this weekend. From when you get up in the morning to when you go to bed at night, got great games all across the slate for Sunday. And then of course we'll preview the Monday night game on Monday. That's the Chargers and the Jets. And that's a big game for both teams. But we'll preview that on Monday. But yeah, that's those are all the games. So let me know what you guys think. Who do you think's going to win some of these games? What games do you like? What bets do you like this weekend? It's a big weekend. Big weekend ahead. Got a lot going on. And also, if you can hear in the background, my dad is vacuuming, so I apologize for that. But we're going to wrap up in a couple of minutes here. But I also want to remind you guys, don't forget, we got the GSMC Baseball Podcast, which will be coming up in about a half hour. So you're not going to want to miss that. We're going to recap the World Series. We're going to talk about some other stuff as well. So you don't want to miss that. And but then yeah, that's it for the week. And then we'll be back on Monday. But and we'll talk about how these games all went and see if how right or how wrong I was, because I mean, we had a great week last week when it came to predictions. So I'm hoping that continues into the weekend. But I'm not going to go perfect. There's definitely going to be some tough losses within my predictions. But I feel good. I feel good about the picks this weekend. I say that now, and then we'll see how I am on Monday. But, I mean, a lot of these games are great. I mean, the Sunday night game, I mean, you got the Germany game, Eagles, Cowboys, first one of the year. You're finally going to get to see both, starting quarterbacks go against each other, because we didn't see that at all last year. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun weekend. And now baseball's over. So now, obviously, we got some stuff to talk about, on the baseball podcast. But then it's like, well, what do I talk about now? But, with trade rumors and things like that coming up, we're definitely going to, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But also I got the shorts coming out today, of course, sporadically throughout the day on, the GSMC Sports Network YouTube channel. One of them actually got a ton of views. Because ESPN came out with an article, talking about the teams with the best odds to win the World Series, and I just listed who the top 5 were. That actually did get a decent amount of views, which I was like, wow, really? I don't know what happened there, but that's great, So it's good that people are checking out the content. There's going to be some changes here, obviously, within the coming weeks. Obviously, I'm still doing my shows, but watch out for other shows that'll be coming out within the coming weeks. Get more content, so it's not you're not just seeing me and nobody else. We've had some stuff going on, but you'll see some more shows coming out, like I said. So make sure to check them out when they do. And that's pretty much it for me. Like I said, in a half hour we will be doing the GSMC baseball podcast, so you're not going to want to miss that. I'm working on getting yesterday's show for the GSMC football podcast reposted into the 4 parts. So if you missed anything, make sure to check that out. I will have that up once I'm done streaming for the day, my doubleheader. And then just keep an eye out for the shorts that are coming out throughout the day, and make sure to leave a comment. Leave a comment on everything, like everything, and of course subscribe. We greatly appreciate that. And also again, for future reference, as always, to donate or tip, get your comments recognized, you go to the following link on the bottom there, streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me, at least for the GSMC football podcast. In a half hour, we'll be streaming for the baseball podcast, so tune into that. So until then, I'm Kenneth Gruenfelder signing off from the GSMC football podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. For those of you that are tuning in for the baseball podcast, I'll see you there. For everybody else, have a good day. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the games, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.